Yasas! Welcome to my Greek kitchen. I'm Maria Nicholas, lovingly known by my grandchildren as Yaya Maria. Yaya means grandma in Greek. Have you ever been to a coffee shop and ordered a delicious cup of coffee and ordered a biscotti and it was very hard? Well, today I'm going to show you a recipe and show you how easy it is to make a delicious Greek biscotti. The recipe is in my cookbook, Yaya's Favorite Greek Recipes. These are the ingredients for Greek biscotti. 1 pound unsalted butter softened, 2 cups granulated sugars, 3 jumbo eggs or 4 large eggs beaten, 1 teaspoon ground cinnamon, 2 teaspoons baking powder, 2 teaspoons vanilla, a half a teaspoon salt, 5 to 6 cups of all-purpose flour, and then for the topping, 1 beaten egg for glazing the tops of the loaves, and sliced almonds for the toppings. Okay, let's get started. Before you're baking is to have all the ingredients at room temperature. This is our 1 pound of softened butter. In you go. Whoops. That happens sometimes. Okay, what we're going to do is beat this. Now we're going to add the sugar. A little bit at a time. Start the creaming. While the butter and sugar are creaming, I'll go over the other ingredients. Here we have 4 eggs, which I'm going to beat quickly to blend them well. Next we have the liquid, which is the 2 teaspoons of vanilla, which will go in, and then we have the cinnamon, baking powder, and sugar, and then the flour. Next, we have the eggs. In you go, all of them. And then we blend them very well. Next, the vanilla goes in. We then put the cinnamon, which gives it that delicious Greek flavor. Salt, and give it a little blend. Then we want to take a little bit of the flour and mix the baking powder with it. And in it goes. Be sure to blend it well. Putting the flour in a little bit at a time. Now that the dough has finished mixing, we put a little flour on the counter and knead it once or twice. This time it took 6 cups of flour. We're going to make 4 loaves. Cut them evenly. You can make 6 loaves, and the biscotti will then be a little smaller. I like to separate them and have my pans ready. My cookie sheets, I have put parchment paper on. It's easier after the loaves are baked to lift the parchment paper and take it out. So this is how we're going to do it. This is just the beginning. We're just getting it onto the pans. And then we finish forming it on the pans. This dough smells so good with all the butter in it. Now I'm going to use my little rolling pin to flatten it out. You want to flatten the dough so that it is about 1/2 inch thick. Any thicker than that and the biscotti loaves will crack and you won't be able to cut them properly. This takes a little bit of time, but the time and effort you spend on it now will give you a better finished product. This is also good for the hands. Look at all the nice butter on your hands, giving you nice smooth skin. There, I've got all my 4 loaves completed. Now you don't have to use one of these rollers. You can, if you don't have one, you can use a glass or just your fingers. I just like to get them all smooth. Okay, now we're ready for the egg wash. I like to do a generous egg wash because it gives it a nice rosy color. These are going to be delicious. Just generously brush the egg wash on. That's a little bit too much. Okay, we'll get all 4 of these done. And then we go for the topping. Another topping you can use is chocolate. If you wish, you can dip the finished biscotti in chocolate and roll it in walnuts, but this time we're just going to use the almonds. Okay, all finished with that. Now I like to take the almonds in my hand and crush them up because then it's easier to cut the biscotti after they're baked, as opposed to just having the whole almond. And now that all of these are topped with the almonds and the egg wash, it's time to put them in a 350-degree preheated oven. And we're going to bake them for about 30 minutes. There we go. The biscotti loaves are out of the oven and I've started to slice them. You need a very sharp knife. I like to cut the end off to give each biscotti piece a nice finished look. You can get from 10 to 12 biscotti out of each loaf depending on how big you want to slice them. A good sharp knife or a serrated knife is good for this. You have to be very careful as you're putting them back on the pan to toast them, because at this point they're still very fragile until they've toasted. So very slowly and very carefully put them in the pan. We're going to toast them 10 minutes on each side. And occasionally you will have one that breaks and falls apart, but that's okay. That just means one more for the baker to eat. Okay, just about finished here. Toasted on one side, I'm now turning the first pan over to toast on the other side for another 7 to 10 minutes. And then the biscotti will be finished. See how easy it was to do this? And you'll have about 3 dozen or 4 dozen wonderful, delicious biscotti. I've turned them over on the other side. I'll put them back in the oven to toast again for about 7 to 10 minutes. And now the second side has finished toasting. We'll take them out of the oven and cool them. Here they are, the Greek biscotti, ready to serve. That recipe and others can be found in my cookbook, Yaya's Favorite Greek Recipes, that you can find on Amazon.com.